What I dream of is effortlessly gliding from one part of the farm to the other, whipping back and forth, going as quickly as I possibly can, moving across the landscape, being able to do the jobs I need to do, the ultimate farm vehicle. I don't think of it as so much as a machine, as another living organism that works with me, and I ride almost as if it was some sort of mechanical horse. That's what I dream of. And why do I need it? My farm is about to get a lot bigger this year. I'm talking like 4 or 5 times bigger than it was last year. And no, I'm not going to be buying more land. And no, I'm not adding a whole bunch of new animals to the farm either. We're going to be using a lot more of our farm than we ever have. In particular, I'm going to be running 2 separate groups of cattle for breeding purposes, and a roughly 20-acre pasture that we have not used traditionally here on the farm is almost entirely fenced in, and I'll be grazing a lot of the cattle in that area. And I have plans to fence in even more pasture and clear out more space that's currently forest. And so the reality is I'm going to have to travel a lot greater distance around the farm and do it a lot more frequently. And while I have a side-by-side that I use for projects and getting around, there are drawbacks to it. You know, its impact on the land and its compaction that it can create. It uses gasoline, and given the frequency and amount of travel I'm gonna have to do, I wanna save a little bit on the wear and tear on it. And while walking is a great and very healthy way to get around, the downside with that is it takes a lot of time. You know, walking from one point on the farm to another point in the farm can take 15-20 minutes. I'm spending less time doing the actual farming activity, and I'm spending a whole heck of a lot more time just hoofing it around. And so that's why I need a better way to travel around my farm. That's why I need the ultimate farm vehicle. But what is the ultimate farm vehicle?
So what do you think? Does it come in black?
It's an e-bike. I know, it sounds kind of simplistic, but after doing a lot of research and really thinking about it, I think an e-bike is probably the best way for me to get around the farm. It's no secret that e-bikes are taking the world by storm. They're everywhere you look these days, from city streets to mountain trails, and it's really not hard to see why. E-bikes are this perfect combination of convenience, speed, and sustainability. With an e-bike, you can easily travel longer distances without breaking a sweat. You can carry heavier loads than you could if you were just doing it by foot power. And they make commuting a breeze for people who are navigating cities in a way that's fast, fun, and eco-friendly. But I don't think e-bikes need to be restricted just to the city, because I think e-bikes could be perfect for life on the farm as well. If this is gonna be a farm bike, I was gonna need to have something that was sturdy and rugged and could take the pounding that farm work can put on a bike. I was gonna need to have the ability to ride off-road and on grass and dirt and mud and through the woods. And I was gonna need to be able to regularly carry things like fence posts and fencing reels and feed for animals all over the farm, not to mention my not insignificant frame. And so that meant that this farm bike was also going to need to be able to carry a payload. And so as I was doing research on what would be the right e-bike for me, I was looking for a bike that was typically used as either a fat tire bike or a hunting bike. And I found that the Cyrusher Ranger would have been a great option for all of my needs. And when the folks at Cyrusher said, "Hey, we'll send you a free bike," I was like, heck yeah. So even though I had to work out some kinks as far as carrying payload and fence posts and other things was concerned, I decided to take the bike out for an initial spin, and I gotta say, it was thrilling. It was so much fun just flying around the streets of Peacham. Now the only question in my mind was, how was it gonna hold up as I tried to do farm work? Do I amuse you?
My buddy Alfred.
I am officially starting to feel like the rural equivalent of Casey Neistat.
Man, does it feel good to be back!
I gotta say, it's a lot of fun to ride. I have been enjoying going on it on a daily basis. And I am able to get all around where I want to get to on the farm as quick as possible. You know, it absolutely is the most frictionless way to travel around the farm. You know, I can just hop on, go, hop off, check on something, hop back on, go. I mean, from that standpoint, in terms of my dream of having the ultimate farm vehicle, I feel like it's very much lived up to the hype. What do you think, Toby Dog?
I think it's been wonderful to have this around the farm.
You know, both Toby Dog and Abby Dog have really enjoyed traveling around and running around with me while I ride the bike. I mean, it's funny, at first they were kind of scared and confused by it because they weren't sure if it was me or some sort of wild animal. But at this point, they are absolutely loving the fact that I'm using it. So right here we have the swale. It is completely full. Most of the swales right now are actually completely full. Oh, Abby, you're gonna drink the swale water? Really? Really? You have to drink that? Really? Would you look at that? That's a volunteer apple tree that we got right there just popping up. But I don't mean to suggest that the experience that I've had with this bike so far has been all rainbows and unicorn farts, because you know what, Toby Dog? There have been a few problems. Not the least of which is trying to park this thing on the slope of a hill is a little bit tricky. But I actually do have a couple of other tasks I have to do around the farm, so why don't you guys come with me and I'll give you the full run experience. Let's go! Woo! How's it going, Annabelle? Uh-oh, watch out for the mud. Yeah. So this point that I'm out here right now this is the far back corner of our pasture, or at least the pasture that we're going to be grazing for the first time this year. And so we're quite a good distance away from where the house is, from where I'm typically grazing cattle, like all of that stuff. We're pretty far out there. This is actually the end of my water line. So I have water line running all the way from down here down to the hydrant that you usually see me pumping water for the birds from. Ultimately, this gate is going to sit across those posts. Now, it would have been very difficult for me to get out here and check on something with animals out here just on short notice. I mean, I guess my only option would be to use a drone, but if it's nighttime, I think I'm SOL and I'm having to hoof it up here, find out what's wrong, and honestly, that would kind of suck. But with this bike, I'm out here in no time at all, and I'm also able to come out here really quietly too. I see that as an advantage, and I really like that fact about it. What I've found even in the last week or so that I've been using the bike on the regular, I am out here on different parts of the property more so than I have ever done. And so this has absolutely shrunken the size of my farm in a significant way. With that said, you guys saw me experimenting with using some sort of little rack here, and I found that kept on creating problems where it was bumping up against the wheel. I was experimenting with trying to have some sort of hitch for the trailer. And what I found is that using the garden cart that I have that like is a towable garden cart, the wheelbase is too narrow to be pulled by that bike for the typical turns that you make with a bike. And so it just kept tipping over. I think I'm going to have to probably invest in a more heavy duty cargo seat for the back to help me with bringing stuff around in the future, as well as maybe investing in some sort of like little trailer that's actually built for a bike. And so I would say that part of this plan is a smashing success, and the other part of this plan is sort of an incomplete for now. Holy smokes, would you look at that? My trail camera, which I was coming up here to check on, is knocked down on the ground. I wonder why that is. I wonder if like an animal knocked it down. So let's go to view. So I guess to answer the question that this video title posed, yes, I actually do think this is now the ultimate farm vehicle. Does not mean it's the ultimate farm vehicle up for every single task you have to do around the farm, but just in terms of an easy, frictionless way to travel around the farm and actually shrink my farm down and make it more accessible to me, I can't think of anything I'd want more than this.